This is the DH4300 Plus series NAS from UGREEN. Now if you're in the market for a new NAS, you're going to see a lot of videos online that's going to show you how brilliant these boxes are, how you can replace all of your cloud storage needs with just one of these. But did you know this thing can actually become your own production server? I'm going to show you how you can install a number of different containers. I'm actually going to show you how I run Kali Linux right off this box. So the box itself is actually pretty small. The lid does pop off the top. You've got 4 bays for disks. I have got bays 1 and 2 filled with 2 4TB disks. At the back you've got HDMI port, 2 USBs, a network port, and at the front you've got a USB-C port. So all in all, it has got everything you actually need. Getting this set up is incredibly easy. All you want to do is connect the power, and you want to connect the network cable, and simply power it on. Once you've done that, we'll open up an application on our computer and we'll do a search to find this device. Now I've had this NAS since last week. I've played around with it. I've installed a number of different containers. I actually got Portainer working on there. I got Kali Linux working. We'll walk through that today in this video. But all in all, it is a pretty easy device to set up. To find the NAS and go through the configuration is pretty simple. You can either download the app from the UGREEN website. That's what I've done. Or what you can do is you can use this URL. So it's find.ugnas.com. If you do that and you hit enter, it should go and search for the NAS on your network. As you can see, it's found my NAS. Mine is a 1096.11.180. Now I could hit connect and that would bring me to the web page to go through the configuration. But as I said, I've already done the basic setup on this device. So let me quickly log in and give you a look around the UI. So when you first open up the UI, this is what it looks like. It's pretty clean, it's pretty easy to find your way around. But generally, whenever you go through the setup, the first thing you will want to do is you'll want to set up your storage. So if you open up the storage, this shows you the number of hard drives that you have installed. As I said, I have got 2 disks installed on mine. I've got 2 4TB drives. That's them here. Once you have your 2 drives installed, you can go through and create your storage pool. Now you do have the various different options to decide what kind of RAID configuration that you want in place. I have configured mine as RAID 1. That basically means with the 2 disks, if one disk breaks, I still can recover all of my data. But it does mean if you configure RAID 1 across 2 disks that you do lose half of the storage need. So as you can see, volume 1 here, my storage is only 3.5 terabytes. But I would prefer to have the redundancy in place. That's one of the whole reasons why you buy a NAS in the first place. Once you have configured your storage, the next thing you want to do is set up a shared folder. That way you can access the NAS from your laptop. All you have to do is come over here to files. We're going to click into shared folder and you're going to hit this plus button and click on new. I'm going to just use YouTube as the folder name. I'm just going to click volume 1, that's fine. Hit create. Now it's going to give me the options of the actual user. So I want me to have read-write access to this particular folder. This is good if you have multiple users. That way you can create a shared folder and just allow certain users access to basically read it or write to it and stuff like that. So all you do is select read-write and click OK. And as you see, that is then going to create that shared folder. Easy. Once you have configured your shared folder, you need to enable access so you can connect to that shared folder from your computers. Very, very easy to do. Just come over here into control panel. Then you're going to go to file service, and under file service, you just need to enable SMB service. So click on that and click on apply. It does give you some instructions here at the bottom on things that you need to follow in order to be able to access these shared folders from a Mac and Windows. It's really simple to do. So since we're in control panel, let me run through some of the additional settings here that you can make. Under user management, this is where you can create a number of different users. If you have a family or a house of shared people, you can create a user for each person. You can create user groups and then you can use groups to modify and control permissions. This just makes it easy. Under device connection, this is different ways that you can connect to your device. We're going to go into this later. Under domain and LDAP, this is just where you can add your UGREEN NAS to an Active Directory domain. That means that you can control access to this NAS using AD users. Under terminal, this is how you can SSH antenna into the device. Again, we're going to look at that later. If you keep moving down under network, Under the network, this is where you can modify the IP address of your NAS. You can configure your DNS, you can configure a static IP address. Mine is just on DHCP right now. I will probably change to a static at some point. Under security, there is additional security things that you can add here. There's a firewall, there's certificates, there's a lot of different stuff that you can do. But one of the main things I want to use this NAS for is hosting containers and hosting application and workloads. As I said earlier, I want to run a number of different containers. I tested this previously and I've actually got Portainer up and going. It's my favorite tool for managing containers. I'm able to download and run a Kali Linux container in the browser. I've also tried a number of other containers like Pi-hole and Home Assistant. So there's a lot of different stuff that we can do. But the first thing we need is to install Docker. To install Docker, all we need to do is go into the App Center. And if you scroll down, you will see the icon for Docker. It is here, this one. So just click on that and then click on install. That normally takes about a minute or two to run through the install. Once it's finished, you will get this option to open. So just click on open. So from here you can see this is actually Docker installed. Now under containers, this is where you will see any of the containers that you've installed. Under images, this is all of the images that are available to you. The image database, where you can pull container images from Docker Hub. Yeah, local, you have the option to pull a package source, or you can pull an image from the NAS itself. So if you upload an image to storage, that's how you can install it as a container. There's other options here around networks, so you can create specific networks for your containers. You can put them on a separate VLAN on your network, which is really cool. Back at the App Center here, if you wanted to install some of these applications, for example, you have got Jellyfin here. It's just a matter of clicking install. That will also just download and run that container. And there is other options and stuff like Home Assistant. This just makes it incredibly easy to install containers. But the container I want to use is Portainer. I've used that in previous videos. I find Portainer is one of the easiest tools to use and it's perfect for managing a lot of different containers. So that's what I want to do. Now to install Portainer, you do have to do it manually and it is really, really easy. Now the first thing you want to do is you want to go up to Control Panel and you want to go into Terminal and you want to enable SSH. Hit enable and then click on apply. We need to do that because we're going to SSH to the NAS and then we're going to go into Docker and we're going to download and follow the Portainer instructions to get Portainer up and going. Once you've done that, just open up a terminal window and we're going to connect to the NAS. So I'm going to do SSH Gerard. Remember, this is the username that I used to log into the NAS. So Gerard at, and then the IP address of the NAS, 10.26.11.180. I have to put in my password. Perfect. So as you can see, I am actually connected to this NAS. Now before we do that, let's go back to this window and let's pull up the Portainer instructions. So let's go to this one. I'm going to click on get started. We're going to move down here and we want to install Portainer. We want the community edition. And we want to add this, so set up a new Portainer CE server installation. So I'm going to select Docker standalone, install Portainer CE with Docker on Linux. Perfect. Okay, so this is the instructions what we need. So we have to go in here and we have to first of all create this Portainer_data folder. Then we can run this command. This is going to download and run the Portainer container. Really, really easy to do. So let's just copy this. I'm going to go back to my terminal. I'm going to paste that in. Hit enter. Oh, I need to elevate myself. So to elevate yourself, you would go sudo su. It's going to ask me for my password again. Then I'm just going to paste that again and hit enter. And as you can see, that is done. Okay, so let's grab the next one. You can just move over here, hit copy. I'm going to go back to terminal and I'm going to right click and paste that. Now, before you hit enter here, you do need to change some of these port numbers. The reason for that is we currently access the NAS via the web browser using this port 9443. Now you can change that if you want. Under the device connection, which I mentioned earlier, you have portal settings. You can change the port number here if you want. I'm just going to leave that as default. and I'm going to go back here to terminal. I'm going to change the port that I want to use for Portainer. So I'm just going to do 944. I'll just do 445. That's fine. Let's hit enter. So once you hit enter, it's gonna go and pull down that container image and run through the build. Perfect, so that is done. So if you go back to the NAS, you want to go back into Docker, and if you go up to container, you should see this is now running. Now to access, all you have to do is click on this little button here, and then we're going to hit this. I might need to add HTTPS before that. And here we go, advanced, we're going to proceed. That is it. That is how easy it is to get Portainer up and going. Let's quickly run through the setup of Portainer. So you need to put a password in. Again, this is a new password that you're going to use for accessing Portainer. Hit create user. Once you're in here, then what you need to do is you need to get connected to your local environment. I'm just going to hit add environments. Or sorry, if you go up to home, you should see it here. Oh yeah, this is your local environment. So this already exists. So just click on live connect. And that is going to take you in now to this local Docker instance, which is good. So I can go into containers, and if I want to add a new container, all I have to do is add container. Perfect. Now, one of the containers that I love to use is the Kali Linux, and especially the Kali Linux version in the browser. So if I just go to linuxserver.io, this is where I get the majority of my container images. I'm going to click on images, and I'm going to search for Kali. This one, so I'm going to click on that one, and I want to come down here where I can see this. So simply pulling this is all I need to do. So just copy that, right click that, copy. Now one thing it does mention here is your application can be accessed using this port number, so we need to do some port mapping as well. So let's go back to Portainer. I'm going to give this a name, so I want to call it Kali. The image, that's where we paste in this URL to go out and pull the image down. We need to do the port mapping, so we need to add, that was 3001, and we're going to allow that to connect on port 3001 on the container. So what this means is whenever I want to access Kali Linux, all I have to do is type in the IP address of the NAS and then connect on port 3001, and that will pass through that traffic across into the container and allow me to access that from my browser. One thing we need to do before we actually build this container, you want to go over here to runtime and resources, and you want to enable this privilege mode. If you don't do that, you can't make any changes, you can't run certain commands on Kali Linux, so you make sure you do that. Then all we have to do is literally click on deploy the container. Now that's going to take about 5 to 6 minutes to pull that down and go through the build. Once that's finished deploying the Linux container, it'll redirect you back to this page. As you can see, this is the containers that I have installed. This is the port that it's actually using. So if I click up here, oh, I need to change that setting. But to access the Kali Linux, all you'd have to do is type in the IP address of the NAS, which is 1096.11.180, and it's on port 3001. Now, as you can see, that's going to redirect me, and this is now me accessing Kali in the browser, connecting off that NAS, which is perfect. Let's test and check if the internet is working on this server. So let's go to Google, accept, perfect. So you can still manage these containers from the UGREEN app. So if I go back to the application and I go under container, I go back here, as you can see now, I can see both the Kali and the Portainer containers. Now one thing to bear in mind, whenever you're building containers on this NAS, you just need to keep an eye on the spec. You can check what's being used up here at the top. It gives you an idea of the CPU and RAM. Now that I have Kali Linux running, it's saying I'm using 2.26% of CPU and 33% of RAM. So this running both of these containers, I could probably get away with running another container or so. But I wouldn't be running a lot of different containers on this, especially if you're running something as intense as Kali on this NAS. You can get an idea of the spec of this particular product on the website, and you can either choose, if this one isn't good enough, you can choose some of the other models. Some of the other models also support the ability to build virtual machines as well, so you can install stuff like Windows and Linux virtual machines on your NAS. Now I was lucky enough that UGREEN sent me this device to test, but if you're in the market to buy a new NAS, now is probably the best best time to buy it because they do have a sale on at the moment. This is their autumn sale, and as you can see, some of the prices have reduced. This particular NAS here was $459 and it's down to $350, which is pretty good. So there you go, that is how I use my UGREEN NAS as a home server. I hope you found that helpful. If you want to run other workloads, you can just download the Portainer, get Portainer up and going, and then you're free to kind of pull down any other containers that you want. Remember that if you are looking for a NAS at the moment, now is probably the best time to buy it. I'll leave the link in the description below where you can go and check out that sale. I think there's like 20% off the price or something, so you might as well cash in now when you can. Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any comments or any questions about the NAS, drop them down below. I'll go through them and answer as much as I can. Don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps me grow this channel. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time.